Hey, this is Jacob with the Wood Plank. Welcome back. We are working on an end grain brickboard today. This is a board that has always fascinated me, and I really enjoy building them. There are quite a few steps, but I will highlight some of the things that I feel like are some of the key components to building this. This particular board is a multi-species board, so I've got cherry, walnut, I picked up some Padauk, and I also have hard maple and ash. Here I'm making the parts for the bricks, and I cut mine at 1 3/4 wide. Here I'm setting things up to cut one of the two mortar sections. I use a feather board and get the width set. Then I lock things down to get a repeatable cut. And this way you're also cutting on the left side of the blade. With a piece this thin, it's my preferred method. And just like that, we have a pile of wooden bricks and a pile of walnut mortar. It's important to have smooth surfaces before each glue up, which is why every piece gets run through the drum sander. And if this machine had an hour gauge, I'd hate to know what it would say. And here the layout process begins. Each one of these panels is going to be 16 inches long by 20 inches wide. Also at this point, you want to make sure that all of your mortar strips and your brick parts are the same thickness. This will definitely save you time down the road. If something is higher than the other, you're going to have to get them all equaled out at some point, so you might as well do it before the first glue up. I found this out the hard way. When I build this board, I try to break it down into goals for each day, and by the end of the first day I like to have the first glue up done. So in this case I have 4 of these panels that if I could get all this done by the first day, I'll be in good shape. While those panels are drying, I'm going to start working on the other mortar section. And this is the trickier of the two. I'm using 8/4 material here. And I'm always amazed at how much wood it actually takes to make these thin mortar strips. And now we're on to day 2, and the goal here is to get everything cross-cut, the mortar strips done, and everything back into the clamps. It's time to crack these out and head over to the planer. Oh, wait a minute. My planer does not work for this job. And the drum sander saves the day again. At this point, I have all my brick panels laid out and my other panel for the second mortar strips that I need to still make. So now I'll just cross cut everything, and the final dimensions of these boards are going to be 13 by 19 by 2. So when I cross cut these strips, they're a little taller than 2 inches because I still have to flatten things afterwards. When building an end grain board, you want to make sure that all the grain points in the same direction. You don't want to mix edge grain and end grain together. This will cause a crack or a split down the road, which is why this part of the build does take a little more time, but it is crucial to the build. So my method for this is to cut this panel into 2-inch strips and then move over to the bandsaw and make these thin mortar strips to match the ones I've already cut for the other panel. After I've cut all these strips, I will run everything through the drum sander to smooth out any saw marks. And if you're curious, this bandsaw is a 1981 Hitachi with a Laguna Resaw King blade. And these thin strips are what we're after. It really is a lot of work and material to get here, but it's nice to have this part of the job done. And now we can start to see this brick pattern come together. Once you have all the pieces just like you want them, it really helps to make these alignment marks, because everything is going to come apart before the next glue up. So when it comes back together, these little lines are going to be crucial. And this is the final glue up, and it can be a little stressful. It helps to have nerves of steel and a good game plan. Anytime you're building an end grain board, you want to use cauls, which are these outer pieces of wood here to apply even pressure across all of those pieces. Slow, even pressure is the key. This is the start of day 3, and there is a lot to do. First, we need to get things flattened from out of the clamps, and my go-to method here is this little flattening jig. After that, we're just gonna trim up each side. And then you guessed it, back to the drum sander. I was able to find a piece of Padauk locally, and it really makes this board pop. Granted, it will darken quite a bit when it gets put in the oil. Chew screws get a little less intimidating the more you do them, but they still get the heart rate up just a little bit. I'm using the router table to make the finger grooves on this board. With a couple of stop blocks and another piece of wood as a guide, it makes short work of this job. Next up, we need to put a profile on the side of the board, and my go-to is a round over bit. So I will put a round over on the top and the bottom. I use a food grade mineral oil to soak these boards, and I'll do about 5 to 10 minutes multiple times, 2 or 3 times. And then you can follow that up with your board conditioner. As this board gets wrapped up, I just wanted to say thanks for watching. Really enjoy making these, and I hope there was something you could take away from this build. I encourage you to give one of these a try. Happy brick building. Take care from the wood plank.